Sure, they still would anyway. They had manipulated it. Sulphur Springs, where I used the Exceed Internet. Boy, I yelled this morning. Hurt my voice. I was feeling better. Um, um, so I've never read it that way. I thought there was another man with him. TV weatherman quits job after found sleeping with corpse. September the 14th, 2011. Updated September the 14th, 2011, 2019 p.m. Brett Cummins had resigned from his job with KARK in Little Rock. The Patriot Ledger. PatriotLedger.com. I was told found with a choker collar. Like a October pull. Peel's choker collar. I thought there's like a total of 3 men there. Anyway, I got told to set up. Anyway, I'll tell you this. Of where? New York? That's kind of silly. President Trump says my pillow. CEO Mike Lindell deserves to be governor of New York. Right, not Arkansas, is it? Minnesota. I was just curious what state. Okay, anyway, I'm standing in here in about 2010. But first, let me tell this. 2010, 2011, somewhere about 26, 27, I quit going to the gay bar in Hot Springs. So before I dated Crystal in 2008, way before then, I was meeting people off the internet close to 18. I met a Stephanie that was 33. I was 22 and a half. Met her like off of Yahoo Personals and or Yahoo Messenger. And we even we ate somewhere. We ate at like Chili's or somewhere. And then she met up with me in Hot Springs from Little Rock. And, then we went I never rode in her vehicle. She never rode mine. I was in that green S10. It looked a little bit better back then. And I said, you want to go to this bar and play some pool or something? We did. It was a relatively slow night. The bar called Jesters. So you got to understand that I guess you could say I had a little bit of bisexuality to me. But the older the older I got, I guess you could say the less of it. In mid-teens, early to mid-teens, and let's just say by before 17, I was wondering to a greater degree, spiritually, religiously, if it was okay to be to be gay. I remember thinking this after about the time I graduated high school. I was about the age of 19. I remember thinking, if I ever happened to get a degree in sociology or psychology or something like that, or even was in the position for what I'm about to say without that degree or degrees, I remember thinking I wanted to develop a questionnaire. If I could get like 1,000 people to answer like an anonymous questionnaire, like people that are either gay or bisexual or something like it. Like if they'd be honest. Like, when did you first start thinking you could have been gay? Were you molested, sexually molested, either by a peer, a friend of the family? Anyway, I used to think I was going to find out the root cause of what makes people think they're gay. And I used to wonder about, and my mom and I discussed, the nature versus nature versus nurture debate. Um, um, Meaning, somebody born with a chemical imbalance or a hormone imbalance, and you never know, that could play a role. Like carried out there. I don't understand why some people want to get a sex change. I don't want to marry a man. I guess you could say I've had sexual attraction to men, or I can like men intimately, but just ultimately, I don't know. You got to be careful too. You can condition yourself to do the wrong thing. Like if you got drafted for Vietnam, you may be naturally a badass. You may be naturally a warrior. So you may go out there and machine gun a bunch of people down, or come up behind them with your butcher knife and slit their throat, whatever. But then other people may be predisposed or conditioned to become schizophrenic or break down. Some people can endure physically, mentally stressful environments more than others. What I'm trying to say, you got to be careful about being desensitized. If somebody commonly drinks beer, sometimes you can get a buzz of beer between 2 and 4 beers, or 1 beer. But then it becomes a 6-pack, an 8-pack, a 10-pack, or your drinking session's longer. What I'm trying to say, like people that get into pornography, okay, think about how people talk about marijuana being the gateway drug. There's a level of truth to that. Some of us, I'll use myself for example. You think about the first time, at an illegal age, a minor age, you snuck a cigarette or something. And I've not really ever snuck much of anything in my day, other than maybe some cigarettes here and there. I've never really stolen much in my entire life, unless you want to count some cigarettes. I've never stolen from a store my entire life, ever. I've never a cousin, I think I pinched somebody's pot when they weren't home, and then maybe later time about it. I'm saying other than that, I've not really stolen in my life. But think about the first time you maybe got to smoke a cigarette or do something. You're nervous. You're afraid you don't want to get caught. Or the first time you get a Playboy, you go off in secret, whatever. But what I'm trying to say, I'm trying to bring the Bible into this, wherever it talks about put on the new personality. That's how they could do it. Screen record it. If JW.org was going to teach people how to read or do certain things. I already got a new number. Well, anyway, to throw this out there, you can get yourself used to things, desensitized to things. Think about if you ever got into pornography at a legal age, whether it's 18, 21, or older. Then compare it to the people that get into fetish porn. What I'm saying is it starts somewhere. It creates an unclean conscience. I mean, some people end up getting pornography addicted. What was I wanting to compare this to? I guess some of it warfare. I don't remember my thought of how I want to. The origins of people being gay. Here's a social factor. Let me compare it. Let me think about how people grew up in the time of the Mosaic Law when Moses was there. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Let me tell you something that the 8th grade algebra teacher told people in class. First name Steve, from Illinois. What says last name, in case I ever get to upload this? He said somewhere in the Middle East where they go by the Muhammad or wherever it is. He said, if somebody drops something, like a wallet or something out in a crowd of people, he says you'll see people put their hands up to their sides. He says because if they get caught stealing, they'll cut their hand off. So anyway. So think about in the time of Moses, time of David, King Solomon, so on and so forth. I meant to blow my nose. You're growing up with the concept of tooth for tooth, eye for eye, life for life. That's a huge deterrent to not commit certain crimes, with that being a societal norm, a norm of society. So for our time, it's like compare, since the 1930s or something, 1950s, 1960s, or think about when Andy Griffith was on TV. Where if they had gay bars in New York, I've heard they were like underground. So I'm just saying, compared to how people grew up, like my mom was born 1950. I was born 1983. So think about by 1997, I'm seeing real world or reruns of it on MTV over there on satellite. I'm seeing the gay guy Dan. I'm seeing people on there bisexual like Genesis. So it first has to enter your mind usually to become something you think about. Then think about 1998 or later, Will and Grace. Or think about the movie, I forgot the name of it, about 1999, Jennifer Aniston. Where the gay guy played a school teacher. I can't say all the other names who were in it. Paul Rudd, and the other guy that played on Wings. There was the movie Birdcage. That came out, 95, 96? Something I've known about. I've said years back, and I may have said it on Facebook. I said basically, if I ever did have children, if somebody, say I knew of somebody that, not a thief, not a bad person in most cases, but say they got a gay lover, or say I'm on somebody else's property with my kid, and then here's two gay guys. I think I would prefer that they wouldn't be maybe hugged up kissing in front of my 7-year-old or 10-year-old, and then have to ask me questions about that. You see what I'm saying? Let me try to use Miley Cyrus for a little bit of an example on something. I'll go ahead. My zips the fit, whether she gets married or not. I said spring of last year, I wrote a letter on something. I said I'd try to continue. I said if I met her or not, I'd continue to use her as an example for something. And at that time, I was thinking, well, I'll go ahead and say what I said this morning. Like in comparison to Brianna, who I dated 2018, 2019, some of the other women I've dated, she's definitely, you could say, not a drug addict whore, even though, now, Miley Cyrus has probably had a lot of sex in her day, more than I ever had, between men and women both, pansexual, way more. All in all, in my lifetime, I've not had a lot of sex. Not a lot. Overall, more with women than men. Men, it'd be what counts as sex with a man. For me, it'd be factory out sodomy. I've never been the bottom of that, but I've sodomized a couple of 2 or 3, or I think a few men in my day. How many women have I sodomized? Only 2. That's already happened a couple of times with women. I've only had sex with a woman like on her menstrual cycle twice in my life. I'm not proud of any of those things, especially if you factor in the Bible of it. Abstain from blood, Acts chapter 15. Anyway, let me go ahead and try to use Miley Cyrus on this. Okay, let's go back to that. What year was it? The Joe Rogan interview. She was like 27, 28, 29, somewhere in there. It came out like 3 or 4 more years ago, give or take. The Joe Rogan Experience podcast, where just she says, I've done a lot of things, but have sex with a dead person is not one of them. One, what made her just up and say that in that moment? Two, see, this is where Scotty, it's like, my discerning nature. It's like if I was going to have I could carry that to another level, but not, and I'm not talking about like for clickbait or her, like she even said that thing, oh, the teaser, or what was it? I forgot something. There's the concealer for the dog's butt, or she just said the teaser or something, monkey butt. Just leave it at that. Joking, but anyway, not for doing it for superficial or fetish or perverted reasons. I later discerned that for the fact that Miley Cyrus said that, a man or woman at some point, whether there's all high on cocaine, imagine Miley Cyrus, early 20s, mid 20s, maybe late teens, LA, California. She's around a bunch of rich people. Some of them may be rich punks. And imagine how much, probably the average funeral parlor or funeral home owner in LA is probably a wealthy person. From whether they got a chain of businesses, they're probably worth $500,000 to $3 million, because just think about when they do an average funeral of the rich and famous there. Or a lot of them may not be famous, but they're rich, or they may be byproducts of wealthy families, or products of famous rich families, whether some of the customers are famous themselves. So I can hypothesize, discern, and imagine that Miley Cyrus, she's like, I've never had sex with a dead person. And most people wouldn't even say that. And if you really want to look at it, for the fact she even said that, there's an insensitivity to it, a desensitization, without digging deeper and knowing. Dolly Parton, Joan Jett, Tish Cyrus, you get what I'm saying here? So it makes me want to ask Miley Cyrus, or makes me want to wonder, when and where were you offered or had the opportunity to have sex with a dead person? Is it going to be a worse thing than I imagined, that she's actually been in a room where somebody drug overdosed and died, and they didn't turn it in, or they covered it up? Surely not. But or kind of like Ken, who's married Lois, who told me in person in 2008 that when he lived in California, that at some kind of like hotel complex deal, said people would complain about getting a dead body out of the room, and him and this other guy would remove the dead body somewhere else out of the way. And I looked at him, I said, you didn't turn it into authorities? He said, no, drug overdoses happen all the time. I thought that was very insensitive. I thought that was very, but see, that's another thing too. Like I'd hear on the radio station in Arkansas, however many years ago, that if somebody is having an overdose and you're doing drugs with them and you call it in, they're claiming you won't get in trouble for it. Kind of like what Dawn told me, the Dawn that I'm not dated, about the time where daughter Kinsey got her hair cut. She said there's somebody in this area that had a bullet hole in him or got shot, I don't know where, but said he wouldn't go to the hospital because of he was on parole. It'd be a probation violation or parole violation. Anyway, so let's back up. So Miley Cyrus says to Joe Rogan, I've done a lot of things in my day, but have sex with a dead person's not one of them. So that must mean that she has been dared or had the opportunity in the past to have sex with a dead person. The most rational thought I can come up with it, probably the least worst case scenario would be she's with a guy or female, some rich little cocaine pompous little trust fund baby, some rich little bigot, little punk, whether they're 30 or 40 or 19 and a half or 17 and a half. Say they're partying, doing cocaine, drinking, smoking pot, and they're like, I've got access to my dad's or my mom's funeral parlor. How dare you go there and have sex with a dead person? She has probably seen it. She has probably watched it. I've even told y'all this. I wouldn't be surprised if Miley Cyrus has had sex with a dog. I've already told y'all that last year, this year. If it'll make her feel better, I never have in my life. early 2018 or so, I was drunk here. I'd done some weird things, like I was going to do that, and I didn't. So that was like the only attempt in my life. And I'm embarrassed to even talk about it. And I'm going out of my way to go ahead and say it, so Miley Cyrus and others don't think I'm being too hard on them. So right there. Not that I'm in the position for it. I mean, I said, pause that thought. I said last year, just over a year ago, I said, when I talked about this category just out loud, not on the camera like I am doing now, I said, there's no telling what Miley Cyrus has done in the sexual category, or been dared, or has seen, whether she's done it or not, but maybe seen other people do it. There's no telling. And I said, if she ever told me about some of that, not that I'm just looking to find out, I said I wouldn't repeat it. But now it's, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that she could, when or if she gets into she or others, you never know. They might could, whether it's write a book or a podcast, and say, yeah, here's some of the things I've done or been offered to do in my day. So I mean, there's no telling what kind of war stories Miley Cyrus could tell that she doesn't even tell the public. And I'm now starting to think and realize that they're probably a lot worse than a lot of us know. You know what I'm saying? It's like whether it should be on a podcast, public or privately, just imagine, or say she wasn't getting engaged, or is appropriate, or in that word, it's like, what you want me to do, Miley Cyrus? You engaged, you sit on that side table with your lover, and I'm on this side. You want me to interview? You want me to compartmentalize? Like, you're no longer the wife. You're engaged to be married to a boy. I mean, I got no choice. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying if she's wanting to do an engagement or get married, she cancels out this man. This man's off the table, unless until further notice. If she gets married, or if she's engaged or gets married, that's a way of saying she does not want this man, or you're not available. Or even find out. Well, I've even said in the past, it's like, what, meet in person, find out. But anyway. To add to that a little bit, though, if people did, I'm not trying to encourage people just to tell war stories for entertainment. But see, now I'm wanting to take myself off I don't want to talk about Miley Cyrus like I used to. Or let me say it, like if I was going to continue to talk about Miley Cyrus like I was until I found out about her announced engagement yesterday, December the 21st, 2025. I just found out yesterday, and I guess she done it on December the 1st or earlier this month. Well, if I was continuing to talk like I have been, like in this topic, I'd be like, Miley Cyrus, won't you either a podcast or write a book, or whether it's Dr. Daniel Amen, blah, 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 or if I'm going to help the production of it, like if I learn behind the scenes some of the things she has done and whether or not she should confess it as a door opener to help other people quit doing that. I don't know. I've even said farther back, like if her dad has molested her, that's a family deal there. They don't have to talk about that publicly. Now, it's a little different when you get into like Governor Sarah Sanders or a preacher, or maybe even think about my fifth grade English teacher, Sarah. It tells me about the age of 14 that her dad done something sexual to her when she was younger, and she told somebody on him, and then said he sobbed, cried in the local church, and everybody knew why. See what these people do? They keep allowing people to be in the reoccurring position for it to keep happening. Is that not why, however many years ago, between 15, 25 years ago, Oprah Winfrey had the TV show calling childhood sex abuse a silent epidemic? I guess I'll go ahead and say it on here. Well, I'll just say it instead of hearing it out loud. Okay, since I just learned, I guess yesterday, when Miley Cyrus, did I read it or did I hear her say it? I think I read it. Or did I play it? She's on somebody's Tonight Show. It's like I have trouble even remembering. I think I read it. She's like, really, to me it sounded so superficial. I don't understand it. Like on her engagement, she was wearing the engagement ring. She's on somebody's. I don't remember if it's Jimmy Kimmel or who, Jimmy Fallon. I don't even remember. I just read it yesterday. I'm like reading it. She's and then they asked about the engagement, and she said the real reason is I have a phobia of Christmas paper, and like dry hands, and she's and she's like, fortunately, Maxx come to the rescue, and he could take them and open them outside. And I'm having dry hands. I just first started noticing the dry hands like this time a year ago. I guess because of wherever I'm going through, the prostate, the diabetic symptoms. I just learned like January of this year, apparently I have prostate cancer. I don't know what all. Have a tumor thing up here. I don't know if I'm going to die or not. Hopefully I don't. A couple of things on the area that maybe I won't die. And Isaiah says when he sees his children and prolong his days. And then Revelation enter about chapter 5 or chapter 6, there a lamb that seems to be slaughtered. But because Jesus Christ, to paraphrase it, is Lord of Lords, Kings of Kings, he isn't. Anyway, so well, I guess in some cases we don't know Miley Cyrus's situation. I don't know. She may look at it as he's not coming to California. He's going to die of cancer. I'm not going to Arkansas. So I don't know if she's being the passive aggressive. I don't know. Just for the fact she's talking about the dry hands thing is making me wonder if she's still trying to get at me. But in some ways, it's kind of like using Maxx. It's like in some areas, it's like we're middlemen, getting taken advantage of, in a sense. Because people can't be just straight up honest. They're being passive aggressive about it. You get my drift? Because I gave lots of talks last year. I said if Miley Cyrus and I did marry and there was a prenuptial agreement, I said no, I didn't want a Christmas tree in the home. I did my best to go out of my way to not set her up for failure. Guessing game with me. And I've even tried to give talks, Dolly Parton, everybody else with others, Jennifer Aniston, Cher, so on and so forth. Don't set your own self up with failure with me. Like thinking what I like and what I don't like and what I will and won't agree to. I gave a talk here 3, 4, 5 months ago. I said what? I might be a little arrogant on it, insensitive. And they're like, Taylor Swift swung in. She's outside wanting to see you. And I said, I'm busy. What do I care? I was kind of trying to make a point. It's like, don't be thinking, in some cases, you're going to just show up and I'm going to be all happy about your presence. It's like when I was screaming for it, nobody, the scriptures say it, nobody interceded. I was thinking January of this year, I was going to try to have to coordinate, like, what am I going to do to get my prostate surgery? Before that, I'm writing letters like my voice, overused it, early summer of last year. I'm in here saying, Miley Cyrus, my health, my vocal cords, my blood pressure. And I'm saying it in my mind, I'm saying it like a husband would to his wife. And I'm thinking, and in my mind, it's like, okay, if she's really that into me, and I am Dolly Parton, like I've said, I'm one of those men that in certain areas, it starts coming down to doctors, surgeries, even if I had the money for it. If I had the money for it, if I was rich, I'd probably make myself go do it some way, somewhere. Or even pay a companion, a traveling companion, or even Jonathan or somebody, like you're going with me. And think about the sad message I got this morning about my biological father. I don't think he'd want to be here right now. I don't know how to go about that. I haven't even seen him in over a year, since on or about November the 12th of 2024. And I tried to get him to go to court, and he just comes off so insensitive. He's like, oh, that's in the past. They don't do nothing about that. I don't know. And I'm sure his sister Shirley died alone. Analyze my text messages from her, between me and her since 2019, various times. You may be able to discern something I discerned through text messages and things that Larry, her brother, said, not my half brother, is that she'd wait till like midnight, 11 p.m. or later to watch movies and TVs she wanted to watch. Because during the day, she didn't get to have control of the TV. I'm sure she had a lonely death. A lot of her immediate family members took advantage of her. And folks, y'all should know, Patricia, David, Michael, they mean nothing to me. I don't know them. They're my enemies. Your circuit judge, Andy Reiner, should know that. Your state representative, John Maddox, should know that. But apparently, you people, you're on this skull thing I'm a target. Shame and humiliate me. Shame and humility. A guy that doesn't molest children, never tried. I mean, you're just so out of scope. You're not even honest with your own self. And I'm talking about a group from the federal government, various state governments. And you're all fixated on this work thing. What kind of work do you do? Torture me in the name of justice? Bother me? What justice? And don't forget what I've said about the youth pastor. It may not be on here, but we know, Bob Clausen, I want to interject. We know you're not the type of man to investigate anything like that. Is your governor? Is your lieutenant governor, Bob Clausen? Who are you to me, Bob Clausen? You telling me a man's sperm becomes available and you want it? Why? You think it earns you a parcel into my estate? It just shames you. First or Second Peter, it says, let none of you suffer as a thief, a busybody in other people's affairs, or as a murderer. You're a busybody in my life, Bob Clausen. You mean nothing to me. I don't know you. I read this the other day. You're a guy that wears like knee high. You're like Pat Walker, a fetish with socks, and go to a church camp or some kind of camp counselor. As far as I'm concerned, you're a red flag. You're somebody fixated with kids. Like one of your circuit judges, Andy Reiner. See, that's another thing, folks, the profile on Andy Reiner. I think he's been obsessed with me, my estate, for up to a decade. And what I've read about him, he went to work for a child support office after graduating law school in Russellville, Arkansas. I think another pattern with him is he's fixated with children. And a lot of people that are truly pedophiles or child molesters, they're very good somehow or another at coming off to the community as like just good with kids, a savior to kids, but they're just masters at getting themselves alone with kids and getting to take advantage of kids, whether it's through the Boy Scout thing, or like that one preacher that got shot and killed by his victim or victims, two victims, in Waldron, Arkansas. I saw it on TV and here, like on 60 Minutes, Dateline 2020, in or about 96, 97, but it happened years earlier. I probably can't look it up. Anyway, incorporate this scripture. Ephesians 4:23. Start at verse 22. You were taught to put away the old personality that conforms to your former course of conduct and that's being corrupted according to its deceptive desires. And you should continue being made new in your dominant mental attitude and should put on the new personality that was created according to God's will in true righteousness and loyalty. And then verse 25, therefore now that you have put away deceit, each one of you speak truth with his neighbor, because we are members belonging to one another. Now, where it says speak truth with his neighbor, it doesn't mean the neighbors are members belonging to one another. But those in the congregation. You could have a neighbor that's atheist, apostate, but it doesn't mean that you're not supposed to speak truth to them. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 25, letter reference I, goes to 3 places. Zechariah chapter 8, verse 16. These are the things you should do. Speak the truth with one another, and the judgments in your gates must promote truth and peace. Colossians chapter 3, verses 8 and 9. But now you must put them all away from you. Wrath, anger, badness, abusive speech, and obscene talk out of your mouth. Do not lie to one another. Strip off the old personality with its practices. That's the part. Who's that? Look at that. Deputy. That Willie. There's another one behind it. Revelation, where are they going? Not my business. I hope they ain't out here because of me. Revelation 21 verse 8. But as for the cowards and those without faith and those who are disgusting in their filth and murderers and the sexually immoral and those practicing spiritism and idolaters and all the liars, their portion will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur. This means the second death. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 24 letter reference H. Colossians chapter 3:10. And clothe yourselves with the new personality which through accurate knowledge is being made new according to the image of the one who created it. You know, it would be interesting. I mean, I don't know if Jehovah God will bless this or not, but without it being a stumbling block or an excuse for badness. Like I know if you go to jw.org, they have articles on there about people that come over maybe pornography addiction. But it's probably not going to get in depth into it. You know, I know Dr. Phil in the past has said replace old habits with new habits. Like I've read a few years back, three or more, Rob Thomas said that back when the band Matchbox 20 did cocaine, he's like we just up and stopped. We didn't really talk about it. Well, I'm white under my neck. Because when I stand in the sun past couple of weeks, I was reading or something, and it just didn't get under my neck. Do I have anything else to say? Let me do this in here. I need to hook you up battery pack. This sounds like a tall order. And I guess for some people, prematurely, it can be. Matthew 16, verse 24. Then Jesus said to his disciples, if anyone wants to come after me, let him disown himself and pick up his torture stake and keep following me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. Really, what good will it do a man if he gains the whole world but loses his life? Or what will a man give in exchange for his life? For the Son of Man is to come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he will repay each one according to his behavior. Letter reference C. I think that should also go to, I'm not going to read them all. There's a number of references there. I think it should go to, possibly it should also go to Revelation chapter 2, where it says, I'll kill your children with deadly plague, or repay each one for their work or works. Romans 2:6, and he will pay back to each one according to his works. Let's see if that one goes to Revelation chapter 2. Nope. On the Matthew 16, verse 28. Truly I say to you that there are some of those standing here who will not taste death at all until they first see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Anyway, I guess I'll try to throw this out there for Miley Cyrus. I'm gonna plug this up because I'm at 21%. Ooh, I left this on. Hey, Jasmine. She and others, whether it applies to Jennifer Aniston, Jennifer Lopez, Dolly Parton, let me open up this curtain too. What? I wonder if that's getting ready to put out a fruit. I don't know. Let me get a little bit of light. I need to get a little bit of water in here. You know how they say, a girl, a woman, they love their shoes, they love fashion, they love their handbag. It can end up being like idolatry, which is like a false god. Acts chapter 15, abstain from idols. First Timothy chapter 1 verse chapter 1 1 Timothy chapter 2 verse 9 says, likewise women should adorn themselves in appropriate dress with modesty. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 3, do not let your adornment be external, the braiding of the hair and wearing of gold ornaments or fine clothing, but let it be the secret person of the heart and the incorruptible adornment of the quiet and mild spirit, which is of great value in the eyes of God. For this is how the holy women of the past who hoped in God used to adorn themselves, subjecting themselves to their husbands. There could be a letter reference on that maybe. Just as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, and you have become her children, provided you continue doing good and do not give in to fear. You husbands, in the same way, continue dwelling with them, meaning their individual wives, according to knowledge. Assign them honor, the wives, as to a weaker vessel, the feminine one, since they are also heirs with you of the undeserved favor of life, in order for your prayers not to be hindered. Finally, all of you have unity of mind, fellow feeling, brotherly affection, tender compassion, and humility. Do not pay back injury for injury or insult for insult. Where's that other battery pack? Did I charge it? I don't remember. First Timothy chapter 2, verse 9. I didn't read all of it earlier. Let's just start at verse 8. So I desire that in every place the men carry on prayer, lifting up loyal hands without anger and debates. I guess you could say I yell here angrily at times. I shouldn't. And cuss. Likewise, the women should adorn themselves in appropriate dress, with modesty and soundness of mind, not with styles of hair, braiding, and gold or pearls, or very expensive clothing, but in the way that is proper for women professing devotion to God, namely through good works. How did the sister wife thing get started? Now, anyway, I'll try to say it in summary here. I was going to say for Miley Cyrus and the others. Let me throw this out there. Let's take Jennifer Gardner. In comparison to Jennifer Lopez and Jennifer Aniston, maybe even Miley Cyrus and many others, maybe even Dolly Parton in her 80s. Who's probably one of the ones the most modest on dress or the expense of it? Probably Jennifer Garner. And I've never read this. I can just kind of tell about when she gave the tour of her house and she liked her kitchen table and how she talked about her kids. I can just tell. Even though I have read about Miley Cyrus like last year, that sometimes at home she'll wear the same T-shirt three or so days in a row and not wear makeup. And think about all the talks I recently gave about the sports bra. It's like now I'm learning like, oh, she's engaged to get married now, and it's like. But see, let me go ahead and throw this out there. I don't know what I recorded it on. There's no telling how much of Maxx watches this with her, or they watch it together. So it's really become something potentially toxic. What do you think, Dr. Phil? What do you think, Dr. Drew? What do you think, Dr. Amon? I mean, for real. I mean, it's like, I've been conditioned to think for going on 2 years, you could say, that Miley Cyrus is into me in possibly in a husband type way. You get my drift, and y'all gotta understand. Like I said last night, when I looked up March of last year, I said out loud. I was just like, something happened. I just said out loud, and it was kind of a surprise to me. I'm like, I think I got a crush on Miley Cyrus. And I find myself trying to find out more, and it's like I don't even know where it come from, because she's one of the first females that I just listened to talk in a while, like to the Joe Rogan thing. And so I'm like 6 or more months after the fact, re-listening to them. And so I look up to try to find out if Miley Cyrus is single. And I'm reading like, oh, she lives with the drummer. And I like felt a bad feeling in my stomach. Well, and in my defense, I wrote a letter, my first open letter, that it probably don't even exist anymore on Facebook. I don't know what people do with my content. Cruel-hearted people like Michael, Chris, Andy, John, I don't know who they all are. April of 2024, I wrote the first open letter to Miley Cyrus, and I said some things, and I said, if your boyfriend doesn't mind or whatever, I said, if you wanted to do something together. Well, anyway, it's not my nature. It's not my nature to want to do something with a taken woman. If you can even tell of how I've talked about, I wouldn't want to. I can't talk about Taylor Swift right now. That's just like too complicated. Especially after the one song, what does it say? Like a vine, like wrapped up like a vine or something. But anyway, I don't know. I'm not talking about as much as I was last year. I was talking about like, oh, I could probably hang out with Britney Spears, Paris Jackson, and be fine. Not try to do anything sexual. I was saying last year, I was like, yeah, would you send them for company? Like, what? I'm so worthy. for company, poor broke man. Where was I even going with this? Wait, try to say it in summary, because I'm already at 50 minutes and 7 seconds here, and I don't want this to be really long. If I had not had felt that Miley Cyrus through this online system was sending a message my way, like under the golden burning sun, I tell everyone you're the only one I want. Really deep words, some of the unreleased content, or even I'm down there. Okay, let me go and tell this to people. I'm down there at the Cow River about June of last year. This is December 21st. 2025. So like June of 2024, I'm down there talking out loud to what I call sky technology at the Cow River, and you might say my backyard, and saying, Miley Cyrus, if you've forgotten about me, let me know. And I was basically saying, don't let me be set up for failure. Don't leave me hanging, is what I was saying. And I also gave talks at various times, like, man, am I just an online portal, like people trying to trick me? I gave talks on the camera last year. I don't think Miley Cyrus would be trying to make me think something's one way when it's really another, because I've heard her say she can't live a lie. But anyway, if you're getting her no sense of self thing, she can lie to herself and do her immature passive aggressive thing, apparently, unless it's something else to it. But so anyway, soon after me saying some of that, like down there at the river over a year and a half ago, like if you're gonna forget about me, let me know. Well, then within 3 weeks after that, or a relatively short period of days, I'm seeing on the, whether you're gonna call it the unreleased or what, the song "Bad at Forgetting You." So I'm like taking some of this, very personal there at the time, and also going through the process of it at times. I'd find myself afraid to like, is it really about me? Or I'd get confused with other things. I'll start trying to maybe think something's about me when it's not. I actually got my feelings hurt on the Two Most Wanted. I thought it was written about like an engagement. I think that song's about her and Beyonce being bisexual lesbians in the back seat. I found out later. When I was at the Spring Building last year, and when I finally read what that song was about, my feelings were hurt. And that's another thing. I don't get them songs. It was in my nature. See, this is where I'm the opposite of Miley Cyrus, Dolly Parton. That starting about the age of 12 or 13, so I couldn't, unless it's a country song, if a song's in the pop area or rock area, you don't always know what it's about categorically or who. Like some of Miley Cyrus's songs, you might be thinking about, they might be about a present or ex-lover. Not talking about Muddy Feet, but the one like My Head Laying on Your Heart, I Know You Don't Deserve It. That's probably, I don't even know how I got this, that may be written about her fans as a group. So you never know what people are writing it about. But usually certain rock stars, pop stars, like Marilyn Manson, others, they'll plainly tell you what a song's about. But then it's like we get into this Dolly Parton, Miley Cyrus world, and Beyonce, it's like, we're usually not Dolly Parton in that category. It's like hush hush. We're not going to tell you who it's about. In some cases, they shouldn't, because it may be disrespectful to publicly label an individual name who it's really about. So, and I don't like Miley Cyrus. She's the opposite of me on this. It's like where people say that the song, if you like the song, it's wherever you want it to be about. It's universal. I don't like that. I like knowing what the song, I like knowing a little bit about the creator of the song. Like if it's secretly about like kidnapping kids or molesting kids or something, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's a subliminal song. It's really about this. It's like, I don't want to boycott the song. Oh, I like the melody or I like how it sounds, but it's really about that. Or it's or Barack Obama. Or a bad pro KKK song. You know what I'm saying? So but I'm saying a flip side of it. I'm not saying I do agree. If Miley Cyrus writes a song that's either about her ex-husband Liam or about a family matter or whatever, she doesn't have to be specific and say out of respect for other people. But I'm saying Dolly Parton, some of these people could be a little bit more specific on the categorical side of it. Like, oh, that song's about my fans. Oh, this song is about an ex-lover. I'm not going to say any names. And then leave it hanging. You know what I'm saying? To me, it's almost becoming miserable. Or like, I start thinking the song, trying to take it intimately. Like the Beyonce one. Oh, and when I played it, let me say this. When I played it that night, May of last year, Kid Bree in my kitchen, a tear come down her cheek. The Two Most Wanted. On the front end, I thought it was a cute song. I actually thought, I'm like, oh hell, that's written about my Cyrus and not mine engagement. And then I read so many weeks, so many months later to like June of that year later, Miley's like, the song's about Beyonce and our friendship. And then it hit me like, oh, that's what it means. I'll be your backseat baby anytime, driving you crazy. And I think a lot of them behind the scenes are more bisexual than we all know. Like at this point, I wouldn't be surprised at either way. They may have, they may not. If Beyonce and Miley Cyrus went down on each other. Or even Ariana Grande. I think it's like in the book of Romans. I'm at 57 minutes. Natural use. It says somewhere in God's word, I gotta shut this off less than an hour. Romans chapter 1, verse 26, that's why God gave them over to disgraceful sexual passion, for the females changed the natural use of themselves into one contrary to nature. Likewise also the males left the natural use of the female and became violently inflamed in their lust toward one another. Males with males working what is obscene and receiving themselves of guilt which was due for their error. I'm not saying that Beyonce and Miley, if they have done that, Dolly Parton, I'm not saying they are obligated to tell the public. It depends. It does say in James, be confessing your sins to one another. It looks like she would be. While Jennifer Garner does wear high-end designer items, her fashion approach in daily life is generally considered more practical and low-key compared to many other A-list celebrities who often prioritize over luxury and trend chasing in their everyday style. I liked how Adele, wherever she was on, she said comfort over fashion. I'm definitely, with what I've been going through, I've been doing that more. I used to never go shirtless. Due to some of my age, maturity, my body heats up this bad, I'm a lot more comfortable going shirtless. I used to like do it swimming, hardly even push mowing. I'm just talking about like last year. I liked her table. When she showed her house, her kitchen table, I kind of liked it. And I liked how she was showing the playroom with the kids, and then she's like, oh, every now and then you'll see the older kids come over to the area and sit down with the young kids and play with them, and she's like, oh, it just touches your heart. Anyway, she kind of come off to like a reasonable, modest woman to me, and that's classy, right? Ben Affleck. I'm not hitting on your ex-wife. Don't think I am, but you know, sometimes I build up, sometimes I tear down. I gotta stop. Almost at 60 minutes.